to a new year. Today we begin actually not only a new year, new church year, but we begin a new cycle. We start cycle A, looking at Matthew's gospel throughout this year. And I don't know if you're able to catch the significance or what was going on in terms of scriptures that we have today, and even our opening event. We have the anointing of candidates who are coming into the church, and the last of that was to put the sign of the cross on their feet, to say you walk now in the ways of Christ. But when you come into the doors of the church, we look and say, what are the dynamics? What is happening? As we come into the church, what we're thinking of is those first two readings. I will go to the mountain of God. I will climb his citadel. That's what we're doing. Matter of fact, if you remember the old Latin Mass, used to say, Intuible Altare Dei. I really love that. I will go to the altar of God. See how similar that sounds? The God who gives joy to my youth. So you and I, as we walk through the doors of the church, we are, as the second reading was said, we're putting the world aside. We're saying, it's all behind me. It's out there. So we come into church. We don't have windows to be looking at all the distractions of the world. We come into the church as a separate place from the world, sacred ground. We approach the altar where you and I, with the vision of faith, looking at John's book of Revelation, we see the myriads of angels and saints already gathered at the altar, waiting to celebrate this Mass with us. So we leave the world. And as we come to celebrate, you hear the reading of Paul then talking about leaving the encumbrances of the world. If there's any of that in our life, any breaking of the Ten Commandments, we know we need to seek God's mercy, right? So next week, next Sunday at 4, we'll have a special penance service. But we ought to regularly seek God's mercy, because you and I know that we are sinners and we do fail. But we come into the church to leave the world behind and say, all right, now we get our marching orders. And as we hear then in the gospel, we hear what Jesus is telling us in terms of, hey folks, like the days of Noah, you're not going to know when it's going to happen. You're not going to know. Remember recently we heard in terms of Luke saying, don't pay attention if someone says, he's there or he's there. In other words, there's no advance notice to say, hey, you got a half hour to get ready, you got 2 hours to get ready, 2 days, whatever. He says the day will come when you're going to be called. And so the important thing for us is to say, well, how do I make sure that I am ready at all times? How do I make sure? So we look at what the church calls us to, what Jesus calls us to, in terms of a relationship with them. Like any relationship, it takes work, right? And if you're not putting work into it, that means somehow you don't have a relationship. If you have a relationship with Christ, then we look and say, what ought we to do on a regular basis to maintain that relationship? What do we do on a regular basis? Church calls us to what? Pray morning, noon, and night. You get up in the morning, you offer a morning offering, some sort of prayer. Say, Lord, let me use this day for your glory. At noon, we stop for prayer. We call it the Angelus. In the evening, 6 o'clock, we take time to say, Lord, thank you for this day. At meals, if you get 3 meals a day, that's great. If you don't have 2 meals a day, whatever. We offer the meals with gratitude to God, recognizing along with that meal everything we have received from Him. That's a pretty good start, isn't it? Your day has been framed now with an awareness of God in your life. But then beyond that, what does the church call us to? What does Mary call us to? Pray the rosary, she said. Pray the rosary. That's, 15 minutes to half hour. Anyway, so we look at the rosary, and not only did Mary say to pray it, God the Father said pray it. He said do it. So we look at that need for a period of time of prayer. Not just a quick, hello God, here I am, remember me, or God, I need this, but to take 15 minutes of prayer time, to be in His presence. And then with prayer, those are prayer times, we recognize that if we are in love, what do? If we are in love with somebody, we are constantly adjusting and readjusting how to please that person, right? You get older, your taste buds change. How many of you enjoy Thanksgiving? Yeah, I hope you did. It's like, and Mama said, oh, you like that? Okay, we'll fix that next year. We're paying attention to those we love. How can I please them more in the future even? And so it is with Jesus. You and I must take time to study. We must take time to grow in our understanding and knowledge of what Christ calls us to. After Mass, I'll give you, if you don't get it, I'll give you a book on Jewish roots of Mary. It'll be a little help for Advent, because Advent's really a lot about Mary and her saying yes to God. So take time to read that during the season of Advent. But then throughout your life, set aside 10 minutes a day. You look at all that and say, well, that's not possible. If it's not possible, then make it half hour. Because that means you're way too busy with the things of the world. We're called to put the world aside and recognize that we walk with Christ. He's our constant companion. Matter of fact, take a shot of that. If you look at that painting that Jim Cole did some years ago for me, that's what it's about. Jesus is saying, come out of the church now. That's the next part. You hear there's 2 men in the field, 2 women grinding. That means when we go out of church into the world, we're called to be in the world but not of the world. When we're in the world, we look like everybody else. We don't put on any special clothes. We don't have any insignia that says, hey, I'm a Christian. Oh, we don't have any, sorry, Paul, there is no secret handshake. There is no sign that says you're a Christian and that we can identify each other. We're in the world. And as such, we take a full part in the world. We use the gifts, the talents that God has given us to make a difference in the world. So we hear about, the days are coming when there will be no more war. Hey, as long as human beings are on the face of the earth, there's going to be war. That's talking about after. When we go into that Mount Zion with Jesus, there will not be war anymore. There will be no more tears, no more crying, no more suffering. But until then, we struggle. And we struggle for peace, yes, in this world. We should never stop struggling for that. But we go out into the world. And we can't stay in church forever. We go out into the world. And as we do, we recognize who we are and what we are, walking with Christ. So today, as you begin the season of Advent, let's really make it a special, intentional awareness of who we are. Be ready to go out into the world and do what Jesus said. Be prepared. Because we don't know. We don't know the day or the hour. But if we walk with Christ through those 5 periods of prayer, the rosary, and a little time for study, you'll do good. You'll do good. So hang in there.